Welcome to the McWaters Effect. I'm your host, Matt. Today we're going to be talking about China. And we're not going to be talking about China when it comes to trade. We're going to be talking about China when it comes to their political prisoners. Now, when I say political prisoners, you're probably thinking of the Uyghur Muslims. Yes, they are political prisoners, but there was a group before them that was political prisoners, and that was the Falun Gong. They were a Buddhist sect that the Chinese government believed they were an evil cult. Now, the Uyghur Muslims is also a sect of Muslims that they believe are evil cult as well. They put them in camps in northern China. But in China, they used political prisoners for organ harvesting. And we found out about this in 2001. That means we have known about this for 2 decades now, have done nothing about it. Another thing they do, 60 to 90,000 transplants each year. And most of them are from political prisoners unwilling to give up their organs. Now, most of the Falun Gong have left the country or have been executed in China. Now, when it comes to Uyghur Muslims, there's over 1.5 million in camps right now in China, and they do harvest their organs, and they also use them for slave labor, as well as if you look online, you can find videos of them sterilizing and raping the women in the camps. This is something that we should have already stopped. This is something that would be happening in the 1930s and 40s, but we're letting it happen now, and it's something that we need to stop. Now, I'm not advocating for war or anything, but I'm advocating for end of trade with China and also sanctions against China. The UN set up a 7-person China Tribune panel to look into their practice harvesting organs. They came to the conclusion that their organ transplant trade is worth $1 billion a year. Okay, $1 billion a year. Most people believe that the Chinese government actually has universal health care. Well, they really don't. What they have is similar to the United States when it comes to the hospitals have to make a profit. This is one way they make a profit. They get free organs. They sell them on a black market organ transplant trade, which one of the biggest places they go is the Middle East. They actually advertise on TV in the Middle East. The reason is because the Uyghur Muslims are Muslim, and in order for another Muslim to have a transplant, they must have a transplant organ from another Muslim. This is big money for them, especially since most people that are going to be able to afford this kind of procedure are rich and famous people. That's why you haven't seen this stopped. It's because there's rich and famous people all over the world that will go to China so they can live a little while longer. You know, after World War II, we said nothing like this would ever happen again. And yet, it's been happening in China the last 2 decades, and nothing has been done or said about it to stop it. At least put sanctions on them or do something. I understand we don't need to go to war with them. They have nuclear weapons just like we do. We don't want to destroy the world, but we want them to stop these immoral practices by taking away organs from people that are not willing. A lot of times they're actually killing them before it's even time for them to die. This is morally wrong. Where are these lefties in the United States having these Me Too movements for everything else, but not for this? I'm just asking. It doesn't make any sense. We're talking about who's on a damn syrup bottle, or what Dr. Seuss books we should have published and what shouldn't be published. Who gives a damn? This doesn't affect people's lives. Stuff like this does. The UN says China is harvesting thousands of human organs from its Uyghur Muslim minority. Human rights body hears. This is happening in 2019? Seriously? It's been going on for almost 2 decades at that point, and you're just now hearing about this? Where you been? I tell you exactly where they've been. Right up China's ass. Them and the WHO, they're pretty much bought and paid for by China. Anytime China does anything bad, they're on the side of China. They do not sanction China. They do not try to talk bad about China. It might as well be the NBA. Hell, let's see what Joe Biden has to say about all this.
Republican ticket led by Mitt Romney, a fine guy.
You just talked to China's president.
Yes, for 2 hours.
What about the Uyghurs? What about human rights abuses?
We must speak up for human rights. It's who we are. We can't. My comment to him was, And I know him well, and he knows me well. We're a 2-hour conversation.
You talked about this, didn't you?
I talked about this too. And that's not so much refugee, but I talked about it. I said, look, you know, Chinese leaders, if you know anything about Chinese history, it has always been the time when China has been victimized by the outer world is when they haven't been unified at home. So the central, to vastly overstated, the central principle of Xi Jinping is that there must be a united, tightly controlled China. And he uses his rationale for the things he does based on that. I point out to him, no American president can be sustained as a president if he doesn't reflect the values of the United States. And so the idea, I'm not going to speak out against what he's doing in Hong Kong, what he's doing with the Uyghurs in western mountains of China, and Taiwan trying to end the one China policy by making it forceful. I said, and by the he said he gets it. Culturally, there are different norms at each country, and their leaders are expected to follow.
Let me get this straight. He chalks this up to cultural differences? Bullshit. That ain't what it is. It's lack of morals, lack of compassion for other human beings that's making them do this. It's also greed. They've seen all this money that they're getting in and attracting all these rich people to China. They're spending money, and China's making bank on it. That's the reason they're doing it. My question to you is, why isn't he putting sanctions on them? Why isn't he trying to stop this from happening to the Uyghur Muslims? I mean, it's bad enough with the organ transplant, but then you have them in concentration camps. Killing them when it's not time for them to die? I just don't understand why the U.S. is allowing this to happen. I understand we can't go to war. I get it. I've already talked about that. But we need to do something financially against them to stop it. Now, of course, a lot of people in the United States probably don't want to do that because how far in debt we are to them. Well, you know what? Why the hell did we actually deal with them in that way when we knew they were doing this? It's because our politicians don't think ahead and they have no morals. That's why we need someone in there that actually has morals. Someone like Tulsi Gabbard or Rand Paul. Decided to pick someone from each side of the aisle. You know, it's either one of them two. They have morals. They have actually substance to what they believe in. Joe Biden, the most popular president ever. 80,000 votes. Psh, whatever. The man just looked at the whole Uyghur Muslim situation and said, shit happens. It's disgraceful. And now, China has fast-track airport lanes for political prisoner organs. This is crazy. The only countries that have actually restricted people's ability to go to these countries countries like China for transplants is Israel and Taiwan and South Korea are the only countries that have passed laws stopping their people from going to China for these forced organ transplants. Now, in 2016, a resolution was passed barring visas to China and other nations engaging in forced removal and then transplanting and organ transplants. This happened in 2016? Seriously? This should have been done a long time before that. I don't think it matters what political party you're in. You're against this. You're completely against it. I think even people that are on the far, far left will be against this. This is totalitarianism right here. It's even worse. It borders on fascism. Matter of fact, it is fascism. It is something they did in the 1930s and 40s in Germany. Why would we let this keep happening? Why would we let this go on for so long and not stop it? Okay, guys, this is the end of my rant about China. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you didn't, just comment below. Let me know what I could do better. If you did, comment below. Let me know what else you want me to talk about. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And please share this video and let other people know what's going on in China. Peace!